Hello and welcome back to Tip the Footy, or welcome if you are new. It's great to have you here again, or for the first time, again if you're new. So today we're going to go through a bit of a weekend preview of the fixtures that come up at the Premier League, and also there's a few topics of conversation that some of the people who we speak to on Twitter have put forward. So it'd be interesting to see, obviously, your guys' thoughts in the comments about what we discuss. And if anything is there that you feel that we are wrong on, or that you have a different opinion on, get them all in the comments, because it'd be great to, open that channel of communication. So before we start, by the way, I'm not actually sponsored by Carling. I think I just drink too much. There's probably an issue there, but it's fine. But what we'll do is we will go through the fixtures, and we'll have a little idea of what we think is going to happen over the course of the weekend. Now, obviously, people who are familiar with the blog will know that every week I do a scoreline prediction for every match. So obviously, once this video is finished recording and it's ready to go, I'll then start going through the research to make sure, how I see the games going. This is just off a top of my head kind of way to sort of discuss the fixtures coming up. So obviously on the blog there'll be a list of what I actually think in terms of scoreline and what team's basically going to win the game, if it's a draw, or how we feel about each other's chances are over the weekend. So what we'll do is first we'll get into that, and then we'll get into the comments from the Twitter post that went out. So the Premier League weekend starts with Liverpool at home to Newcastle. Now, for me, and I think for a lot of people, the thing is, my concern's always been that I really dislike international breaks. I feel that they can disrupt, rhythm. Having said that, I think that Liverpool should have enough to beat Newcastle. Had it been Rafa, then we might have had to do a bit more. I think that we should have enough to put Newcastle to bed. Hopefully early on, maybe rest a few players, stuff like that. Apologies to any Newcastle fans who are watching. Obviously, get your comments down below as well. But I would go for a Liverpool win, and I'm hoping that it'll be a comfortable one. But again, we'll get into that on the blog as well. Brighton-Burnley is the next game. It's one of them weird ones, isn't it? It's like, Brighton have surprised me under Potter, because when they were under Chris Hughton, they were a very workman-like side. Under Potter, they're far more expansive. They look more exciting. The thing is, though, Blackpool looked really exciting, and they got relegated. So there is that concern that maybe they're going to be too open, and against some of the better teams, they might get put to bed. Obviously, they got beat by City 4-0, so there is an element there of do you sacrifice substance, like your defensive solidity, to then go and try and attack a bit higher up the league, or will that be ultimately their downfall? I'm not sure. Burnley are one of them clubs who are well versed in being really, really compact, make it very difficult for teams to play against them. With them being away, it does make a difference, but it's a very hard one to call. I'm not expecting it to be a thriller, to be fair. Then you've got Man United Leicester. Now this one's an interesting one, because Man United Leicester. So there's actually a question about this a bit later on, and we'll go into that. But Man United Leicester. Man United are such a difficult team to predict what they're going to do at the minute, because they are an absolute shell of what Man United normally are. And I think Leicester, are a really good side. Now, and I keep toying with the fact that I think Leicester will win this game. It's at Old Trafford, though. But does that hold the same fear as it did, say 5-6 years ago? I don't think it does. So is there an opportunity there for Leicester to go there, play expansive football and beat them? Well, yeah, there probably is. I'm still go through the stats, obviously. I'm kind of... I'll sit on the fence for this, but I am thinking that a Leicester win isn't beyond the realms of possibility by any stretch of the imagination. I think that Leicester have got a very, very good chance of actually beating them. But obviously we'll see how that goes. The next game is Sheffield United Southampton. Now again, it's a bit of a game. It's one of them games where, it's a difficult one to kind of call. Chris Wilde has done wonders with Sheffield United, got them up, local hero. And then you got Hasselhoetel, Southampton. So they're a different breed now. They're a different side. And it's going to be a difficult one because I didn't think that they'd beat Southampton away. I think Brighton away. I think the red card helped with that a lot. I think they showed very promising signs against Manchester United. I think they were better against Liverpool, like I said in previous videos. So Southampton are a reasonable side, decent players. Sheffield United, though, have still got that hunger to even... when they were 2-0 down to Chelsea, they proved that isn't enough to beat them. They showed some sort of desire and they got back into it. Ultimately finishing 2-2. Again, it's not one I'm expecting a massive amount of goals from. It's not a fixture that excites me as a football fan. But it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out. And then we've got Spurs Palace. Well, no one saw Palace going to Old Trafford and winning. No one saw Newcastle going to Spurs and winning. So this one could be quite an intriguing fixture. Crystal Palace, having kept hold of Zaha, are probably looking more dangerous as a club now than they would have had they have lost Zaha. Spurs, something's not right at Spurs, and I don't know what it is. I couldn't pinpoint it. I think a lot of it's got to do with Pochettino had a problem with the transfer window ending at a certain point, which I agree with, and I think a lot of other managers do as well across the country. I think you've either got to do it universal across Europe and it finishes on a certain day, or you let it creep into the season and everyone agrees to that. But I think you've got to have to agree one way or the other. I think that does put a lot of doubt in players' minds. Harry Kane had a decent international break in terms of, he scored a lot of goals. He was someone who, barring the penalty miss, he's someone who Spurs can rely on. My concern with this one is that I'm not sure Palace really play well on expansive pitches, but then they'd proved that wrong at Old Trafford. But they at home, Palace, you'd normally associate with someone who was going to cause you problems. Who would you go for there? I mean, personally, I think Spurs have got enough to beat Crystal Palace. But we have seen some shock results so far this season. Is Pochettino actually as happy there as it appears? I don't think so. I think he's either had a dispute with the board or Daniel Levy. He wants certain targets. I think he wants a certain amount of money to spend, and I think he appreciates the fact that the stadium costs X amount of money. So that I think there's something wrong at Spurs, and I think what they've done is I think they peaked in June. Getting to a Champions League final, I think they peaked. And I think they're on the way down off that cliff now. I don't think that Spurs are now an improving side. I think they hit their apex of improvement and they've started to sort of creep down a hill. That could be wrong. Obviously, there's players still to come back into the squad. But I am not convinced that Spurs... I think they'll finish third, but I'm not convinced that they're anywhere near the team they were last season, and I don't know what that's down to. But motivation can play a massive part in football. It's the fine margins, and I'm really not sure Spurs are in a position to really cause too many problems this season. I think obviously my opinion is top two will run away and the rest will fight. I think Spurs will be okay in third, but I think it will be a battle for them to stay there. So then you got Wolves-Chelsea. Now, that's another interesting game because we've had Wolves are yet to win, I don't believe, in the Premier League this season. And I think a lot of that's down to the fact that their involvement in the Europa League does take a lot out of their legs. Well, we've just had Jimenez, haven't we, as well, fly over to Mexico, Argentina, been around South America. That takes it out of your legs. And Chelsea have got multiple injury problems. I actually think that this is the game where Wolves will go and win. I think Wolves will beat Chelsea. I think Nuno Espirito Santo is more experienced than Frank Lampard, and I think when it comes to sort of a game like this, that I think that Chelsea are going to struggle. I think that I think Wolves will win it. I don't think it'd be like 8-0, but I think Wolves will edge this game, personally. And in Norwich Man City, well, this is the second game of the weekend that I'm really looking forward to. So the first one is obviously Liverpool Newcastle being a red. I want to see that game. I can't wait for that. And there's been an international break, so I'm like literally like chomping at the bit to get back going again with Liverpool. So Norwich play Man City. Now, with Man City having some defensive frailties in terms of their injury list at the back is kind of growing. Norwich going forward look really, really good, with the exception of the West Ham game. I think Norwich at home are a dangerous position, like a dangerous opposition. I would like to... Look, I'm a Liverpool fan, so I'm going to love to see Norwich win that game. I don't think they will. I think that City going forward, midfield, forward line is going to be far too much. But I do expect goals, and I expect them at both ends. So I think it'll be a really, really intriguing counter. But I expect Man City to do the job without any sort of real issues. Although I've really enjoyed watching Norwich play. I think that they've got a nice brand of football. It's interesting to watch them play. So on Sunday, Super Sunday's probably an overstatement a little bit. I think Bournemouth Everton. So I think Harry Wilson's going to have a part to play purely because who he's on loan from. I think that there's definitely potential there for Harry Wilson to bang in something from 30 yards. Now, I know I'm going to incur the wrath of a lot of Evertonians, but I think that Jordan Pickford, is he the best goalkeeper in England? Is he the best English goalkeeper, should I say? Yeah, probably is. Does that mean he's a great goalkeeper? No, I don't think it does. I don't rate Jordan Pickford very highly. I mean, I love the guy for winning us a derby on that back in December, but that's just a joke and aside. But I don't think that he, like, if you put David Seaman, a prime David Seaman, in this England team that they've got now, I think it's a better England team for it. I don't think. I think Neville Southall is far better than Jordan Pickford. I think he can be a bit dodgy from time to time. I know they've got a lot of clean sheets over the last sort of few months, and if he's down, if he's part of that, then fine. And I'm not saying he's not a good shot stopper. He absolutely is. He's done wonders with Sunderland, albeit in a relegated side. But you face a lot more shots if your defence is crap. So. I just don't think Jordan Pickford's good enough. I think that England as a nation, in terms of its ability now, it's got a lot of raw, solid, quality talent running through the entire squad. I do think that England are a world class goalkeeper short, because, like, would you put Jordan Pickford in the top 10 goalkeepers in world football at the minute? I mean, I certainly wouldn't. Can he be improved upon for Everton? Absolutely, and certainly, from an England point of view, I think that they need a better goalkeeper if they want to win whatever they want to win, the Euros and the World Cup and stuff. I think Bournemouth very good going forward. I expect goals in this one. I don't think it'll be a boring game by any stretch. I'm looking forward to watching it. Then you've got Watford Arsenal. So Watford could have that horrible thing for Arsenal fans' point of view of that new manager bounce. Now, are they going to be, Quique Sanchez Flores has come in. Is he going to galvanise them enough in week one for them to go get a result against Arsenal? I don't think so. I expect both teams will score. Because again, I'm not sold on Leno either. Certainly not sold on David Luiz. I've said it many times. Better in a back three. I'm looking forward to this game as well. I think Arsenal will edge it. I think they've got enough quality to edge it, and I think going forward, Arsenal are a far stronger opposition. I actually think Arsenal are going to be top 4 this season by clear. I think they'll be fine in regards to the Champions League spots. I hope they don't focus too much on the Europa League. And why I say that is because I think that could have a negative effect on their league form. And I'd like to see them get back in the Champions League. I think a lot of their fans would. And I think they probably deserve to be there eventually, and maybe the time's come for them to get back in. I think Emre's a decent manager. I think you got a selection wrong against Spurs, but I definitely think that going forward, I think that Arsenal will get top four, and I think they'll win on Sunday. And then Monday Night Football, which is number 3 on my games I'm looking forward to after Newcastle, Liverpool, Newcastle, obviously, Norwich, Man City, Villa, West Ham. It's like a classic Premier League game. Again, I'm expecting goals. I think it's going to be really entertaining. It's one of with Villa being a newly promoted side, I think they strengthen well. I think West Ham are looking pretty dangerous now. I like Haller. I think he's great. I think it's going to be a really intriguing battle. I think that there's still going to be a remnants of Villa being sort of wrongly disallowed a goal against who's he playing? Crystal Palace the other day. So that'll be interesting to see how it goes. I'm looking forward to it. I'm definitely expecting goals. Again, for actual scoreline predictions, they'll be over on the blog tomorrow evening, Friday evening. So scoreline predictions and stuff will be on there. It's just a little bit of an overview of what we've got to look forward to this weekend. So we're going to move on to the questions now that we've received from you guys. And it's brilliant to always receive questions because it gives us an idea of how people are thinking, and it basically puts it out there for a wider audience to suggest their opinions and feel how things are going. So the first question is from a Leicester fan. His name is at Disabled Guy Play. That's over on Twitter. If you want to go and follow him, do so. We're actually going to try and do a collaboration video where we have a little chat about the football over on like a Skype or something. So that video will come out soon. We're gonna discuss the logistics of that at some point. So his question was, do Leicester have a better squad than Manchester United's currently? Now, this is a difficult question because it is really, really tight. So what I did was I wrote down the 2 most recent starting 11s to try and see man for man how we'd get on. So you've got De Gea and Schmeichel. There's no doubt Schmeichel's a phenomenal goalkeeper, but David De Gea for me absolutely edges that. So at right back you've got Pereira versus Wan-Bissaka. Now, Pereira better going forward, Wan-Bissaka better at defending. I'm going to edge for Wan-Bissaka on that one. So at centre backs you've got Lindelof versus Johnny Evans. Johnny Evans is a solid defender. In fact, if he was still at United, there's question marks whether he'd get a game. I'm going to edge for Lindelof, although I think Evans is better in the air. Maguire versus Sugunchu, the fellow who's been playing centre back who replaced Maguire. I'm impressed by him, I've got to admit, but I think that I would give that to Harry Maguire. So you've then got Young versus Chilwell. Well, obviously it should probably be Shaw versus Chilwell, and either way I'd probably give it to Chilwell, to be fair. I think he's a much better defender. I think he's much better creative going forward. So then you've got they played McTominay and Pogba. So against Ndidi, I think that Ndidi is much better than McTominay. McTominay's obviously got room to grow, but I think Ndidi's a better player. And then if you want to put the likes of Fred in there, I think it's still going to be Ndidi. So then you've got probably the fairest is probably Pogba Tielemans. I think Pogba at Manchester United, I'd go Tielemans. Pogba anywhere else, I'd probably go Pogba. So that's one for debate. Maddison against Mata, fair. I would say Maddison hands down. Maddison's the guy on the up. Mata's the guy on the down. Mata, don't get me wrong, has been a phenomenal footballer, great servant, decent human being as well by all accounts. The 1% charity thing, the whole thing. I actually, Barring when he plays us, I've got no real problems with Juan Mata. That fucking overhead kick though pretty pisses me off. So I'm going to go with Maddison. Then you've got like Albrighton against Martial. Sorry, Albrighton against Pereira. I'll go Albrighton. Pereira's got room to grow. James against Barnes. I'm going to go James. I think Barnes is an exciting talent. I think James has got a higher ceiling. Going towards the forward line, Vardy, Rashford. Well, let's have a look at it. I mean, Vardy scores goals all the time against the odds. I think Rashford's maybe on the verge now of being a little bit overhyped, and I would go with Vardy. Then you've got like the likes of the benches that the teams had. So you've got Martial, Lingard, Romero, Greenwood, Matic, Tuanzebe, Chong on the Man United bench. Now, Chong, all the potential in the world, could be a great footballer. Tuanzebe, again, great on loan, got a chance of being, a Man United centre-back. No problems with him. Matic, not good enough anymore. Not good enough at all. Greenwood, really exciting. Looking forward to seeing how he progresses. Romero, fantastic second choice goalkeeper. Lingard, I mean, Jesus Christ. when's he going to end up at Watford? I don't understand the hype around Lingard. Martial, great player. I think that if you'd have given Anthony Martial to an Arsene Wenger, I think he would be leaps and bounds. Leaps and bounds. I don't. He's got so much potential. I think he's used wrong so often. I rate him a lot. I just don't think he's in the right club for what they're trying to do. Damari Gray on the Leicester's bench, superb, could get into the starting lineup. Iosi Perez, interesting choice of a buy from Newcastle. A good buy, to be fair though, because he does stretch play. I actually quite like him. I think he's a good addition. Chowdhury looks really, really good. Pryor's a great buy, and Christian Fuchs. When you look at it, when you actually look at it, and you look at it full squads, I would say that Manchester United, at current moment in time, have the better squad just. And it is now just. Do I think that Leicester could usurp them in the league this season? Absolutely. Because I don't believe that Man United have this together, this collectiveness on the pitch at the minute. I don't see it. I think Leicester are a team fighting upwards. Man United are fighting against the ones that are coming to get them. I would say this time next year, without significant investment in Man United's team, this could be Leicester. Leicester could be the ones who are better than Man United. At the minute, I'm still going to give it to United just for now, but I do believe that the gap isn't very big, and you're talking wafer thin at the minute. And then you've obviously got Brendan Rodgers versus Ollie Solskjaer as a manager. So as a manager, Rodgers has probably got the edge. He's won more trophies. He has an identity. He's got the backing from the board. So the club itself, Leicester as a club, are going in the right direction. Man United absolutely to remove the Glazers from their existence, because as long as the Glazers are there, it's going to keep harming Manchester United Football Club. Manchester United Football Club are now reminding me of Liverpool in the 90s, where we get beat by Watford and then we can go and twat Arsenal. So if you're a Man United fan, there's massive cause for concern, and based around that, I'm still edging United squad-wise at the minute, but like I'm saying, it's wafer thin, and that must be an alarming statement for any Man United fan to hear, because I think that's accurate. So question number 2 comes from Kevin the Hamster on Twitter, at Kevin the Hamster, D-A, da Hamster. He says, how fucked are Chelsea with all of our injuries? Starting midfield of Jorginho, Barkley, Mount, and possibly Kante when fit. So, going into their game, their doubts are Kante, Rudiger, Emerson, Pedro, Loftus-Cheek, Hudson-Odoi, Kovacic. So, I would say, I don't think Barkley's good enough. I think he should stay at Everton and improve there. I don't think it's a good move for him. Mason Mount, I think, is jumped on leaps and bounds, looking really, really good. I think Jorginho's a really good player. You probably want to see Kovacic in there with them, and definitely N'Golo Kante. Hudson-Odoi, very, very exciting talent. Still quite raw. Loftus-Cheek I really like. I think he's developed, he's matured into a really calm footballer. I really like him. So how fucked are Chelsea? I don't think they're massively fucked, to be fair. I think that if the transfer ban gets removed in January, there's a lot of options to strengthen. I believe that they're talking about £300 million. I think that even if you get to the end of the season, I think the experience these younger players have had are going to be massive and will improve them, will improve them tenfold as players. So I don't think Chelsea are that fucked. I think you'll struggle against Wolves, possibly lose. I think Wolves will probably win. But going forward, I think you're going to be okay, to be fair. The next question come from at Iconic Allison, who's a Liverpool fan. And he said, who was better in their prime, Torres or Suarez? Now, this is a really difficult one. Based on pure genius, that I saw them both live multiple times. Based on pure genius, I'd have to give that to Suarez. As much as I dislike a lot of things he's done and subsequently done, Torres was an absolute lethal, clinical goal scorer. I think Suarez offered something extra. I think he was an incredible player. He had that nasty streak, but he also had this ability to produce moments of absolute magic. I think that Torres running through unaided, Torres is going to finish every time. But I think Suarez had a bit more magic about him. Both of their endings at Liverpool were sour. I'm going to go for Suarez. Look, I love Torres when he was there. I love Suarez when he was there. I'm gonna have to go with Suarez. If I had to pick an 11, a dream Liverpool 11, I would put Suarez in over Torres. So I'm gonna have to stick with that and go with Luis Suarez. So the final one, before we wrap this up, is at Gunner _69 or GunnerGal26 over on Twitter. Go and give all these a follow. Said, why are we having so many mistakes with VAR? Well, it's an absolute conundrum, isn't it? Because when we were told that VAR was coming into the Premier League, we were told that it was only going to be used for clear and obvious errors. We've had clear and obvious errors, so I'm not sure what's going on with it, because there's goals that I think Newcastle scored one that was a little bit dodgy. You've got the Villa versus Crystal Palace one. You've got various incidences so far of VAR not getting it right. Now, I don't know why that is. I think what they need to do is what I think's happened is they've basically been given this remit that in order to maintain the speed of a game, they're not going over to the television sets, which is okay. That's fine. But if you're not going to go over to the television sets, or at least take the guy at Stockley Park's word for you have made a mistake, then what's the point of it? Because they're still making errors, because referees are humans. You're going to expect human error. I'm not a fan of VAR, and I would like it to disappear. I think it's an absolute terrible thing to have. I understand that people are saying, you've got to get all these decisions spot on, but we're not doing it for throw-ins and corners and all that kind of stuff. We're doing it for handballs, penalties, goals. But they're getting those three wrong as well. So I'm not convinced it's a very good... how it works is shit so far. They either need to slow the game down, because basically you've got two choices. Remove the speed of the game, as in if you're going to have things drag on a little bit, go over to the screen and get the ref to double check things on the advice of someone from Stockley Park and actually take that on board and do that. Or don't use VAR. You can't have it both ways. It's not working as it is. It's a terrible invention that hasn't been properly checked or used to the extent that where it really matters. You've got that one where City scored against Spurs. Now, I mean, I want City to drop points, but that's harsh. That's ridiculous. Like if that had happened to Liverpool, I'd be fuming that there isn't that goal didn't stand. That's more to do with the handball rule changing, I know, but VAR picking that up, but then not picking up other things when Tielemans, for instance, for Leicester, it's a red card for me. Why is there not someone communicating this back to the referee? The communication part, if someone's in Stockley Park and you watch it back a couple of times, they could then go, right, you've made a mistake, this is what you should do. And then he goes, okay, that's been seen by 3 or 4 different people. The consensus is, this is absolutely right, and now I've got to go, right, there's a red card. Do that. Like, if they're going to have these people monitoring it and feeding back into the referee's ears, then surely they're going to be the ones who have to say, look, you've made a mistake, now rectify it. I think a lot of people would be more, all right, fair enough. There's been a consensus. They've told the referee's then made a decision. It doesn't mean the referee's now no longer in charge of the game. That's not true. It doesn't mean that. But it means that when there's an error, clear and obvious, they can say to him, it's an error, sort it out. Do that. If not, tell a referee to go and have a look at the screen. Go and take a look at it. Make your mind up. But the way it is at the minute, it's too up in the air. There's no consensus. There's no general way of using it. And I think it's an absolute travesty at the minute that it's being used as it is. I believe there's a meeting on Monday, I think it is, with the Premier League chairman and things, where they're going to discuss, one of the topics of that discussion is going to be VAR. And I don't mind the concept of it. If it did literally eliminate errors, great. I don't think it is. And I said on Twitter before the season started that an unpopular football opinion, which is, you know, one of the phrases these days, what I used was that VAR would cause more controversy than it saved, and it would continue to do so throughout the season. So far, I think that's the case. So, yeah, it's not for me unless they absolutely nail down on the real principles of it and get it really right. It's not for me, and I'll be glad to see the back of it until they absolutely nail it. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. So we're going to wrap that up there anyway, because obviously it's a bit long just for a preview show. Obviously, at the after the Monday fixture, there'll be a review show of all the things that we witnessed over the weekend. I hope you'll join us for that. The first podcast is out now as well, which is basically this, but in audio format. So I'm hoping to continue that. But other than that, though, it's been absolutely fantastic having you here again, and I'm looking forward to seeing the comments and having a chat with you all there. Over on Twitter, go and give us a follow, have a little look at what we normally talk about. Anything you want to discuss, get in the comments below. Anything that's wrong, get in the comments below, particularly Everton fans who probably didn't like my Pickford examination. Get them in the comments as well. Give a thumbs up on the video. We always appreciate that. I think we're up to 44 subscribers now, so that's fantastic, and hopefully we can continue to push that forward. But as always, it's been absolutely superb having you here. I'm Dante. Take care.